What is up, Springfieldians? If you're from Shelbyville, you can get out of here. And welcome to That Game Rules, the worst gaming podcast on the internet, where we break down an old retro game and all the pop culture that surrounds it. And we're popping that culture hard today. That sounded weird. I'm your host, Scuba Steve. Thank you for listening. I want everyone to come gather around the lemon tree because we're breaking down the Simpsons Arcade game. Spoiler alert, I'll probably end up talking more about the Simpsons themselves in the actual game, but don't have a cow, man. We'll get there. But first, what are we even doing here? We like to go back in time. We're going to talk old movies, shows, toys, and video games, of course. We're going to go over the game vitals, the cabinet art this week, the characters, levels, music, controls, check out some comments and reviews. Finally, we'll give this game some awards, slap a ranking on it, and get out of here before Mr. Burns releases the hounds on us, or the bees, or the hounds with bees in their mouths, and when they bark, they shoot bees at you. I'm going to have fun today. I love The Simpsons. I just think they're neat. So email me if you want to talk to me at thatgamerules@gmail.com. Tell me what games you want to talk about. Tell me about the show. Tell me if this is the worst episode ever. Check out thatgamerules.com. I stayed up all night eating 64 slices of American cheese when I made that website, and it shows. I swear, I'll probably... my whole life is just, when I talk, is just Simpson references. That's all that comes. South Park, Simpsons, Futurama. I live my life and movie references. So if I say something weird today, it's probably just a quote from The Simpsons. And if you don't get it, then go watch some more of The Simpsons. What have I been up to? I've been watching trailers for movies I'm excited about. FNAF 2. I played the games like once. But my kids are really into it, and I like just going to the movies with my kids, so we're excited to go see that one. And they just dropped the trailer for Super Mario Galaxy. That episode's in the works. I've been playing some Galaxy. It's going to be a minute because I'm still super busy. But I checked out that trailer. We got Rosalina. We got Bowser Jr. Bowser Jr. He's okay. I just wish they would bring back the Koopa Kids, but I'm like a Super Mario 3 nut. So that movie's looking really cool. I wish that they wouldn't. I guess you got to be careful with movie trailers nowadays because it's like all spoilers. It's like all plot points from the movies. Like, don't watch a movie trailer like right before you see a movie because it's like it shows you a lot more than you think. Like, watch the trailer. Let's wait a couple of months and we'll go see the movie and it'll be a good time. Updates in my personal life. I think it might have even been like episode 2 when I started this podcast. I mentioned a tree falling on my house. So many months later, as I've been battling insurance and crap, they're finally today. I'm not at my house, or you'd be hearing a lot of banging, but they're working on my roof finally. So I'm going to get that out of my life. Let's keep going. I want to talk some gaming memories, and I'm going to talk a little bit about just growing up with siblings in general. If you, especially in the 2-year range. So my sister is like 2 years-ish older than me. I have 4 kids, and they're spanned out where it's like my first 2. I kind of have this 2-year gap, and then there's like a 8-year gap or something before my next 2, and as well they have like a 2-year gap. And there's just something between talking to other people too, or mainly talking to people that didn't grow up with a sibling. Like, how boring was that? I mean, I guess you had like everything and no competition, but just looking back on my life a lot now, I just really appreciate growing up with a sibling, besides just having family and, having my sister to talk to whenever I want nowadays is fine. But it's just for those kind of memories, it's like the same way The Simpsons is. It's 2 kids, one's like 2 years-ish older. And so if you didn't grow up with a sibling, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna talk about my childhood a lot, and it involves a lot of sibling stuff. As far as memories with just like arcades and the Simpsons Arcade itself, these things, when you could find them anywhere besides, you didn't make it to like arcades all the time, but you would find arcade machines sometimes at the grocery store, always at the laundromat. But in particular, where we used to get our main arcade gaming was at the movie theaters. So you're waiting for your movie to start. In this case, it was either like Oxford Cinema, close to where I live here, or Showcase Cinema, all these theaters that don't really exist anymore. The one like super local to me was like, had 2 theaters. It was called the Twin Cinema. Also had like a mini arcade, but also had like a whole little mini movie rental section. So you had a lot of that kind of stuff back in the day too. But that's where we would play, waiting for the movie. That's where I would play that 4-player Simpsons, Ninja Turtles, all my favorite games from back then. And when you weren't in the arcade, we were playing kind of waiting for the movies and stuff. So it's like thinking about The Simpsons makes me think about watching The Simpsons growing up, which I did. It's like I almost don't even remember not having The Simpsons in my life, almost like I don't remember not having like Nintendo in my life. They've always been a part of me. But speaking of like the sibling thing and what made me think of like how we used to watch The Simpsons, if you had a sibling, did you ever have seat saves when you guys were watching TV? It was like whenever because there was always like one good spot in the living room. If your parents weren't in it, maybe it was a chair or the corner of the couch, but you would get up and you would call seat saves so that nobody would steal your seat. When you had to go run during a commercial, to go use the bathroom or whatever you were doing, young kids, there was no pausing of any sort of live anything. I still remember when TiVo came out and DVRs in general, still way pre-streaming, just how mind-blown I was just pausing live TV in general. Because that was just, nope, it was how important was that show to you? Can you make it back before the commercial ends? And do you get the same seat you had when you left? So all those sibling memories, they're all coming back to me. We'll get into it. I'm recording again at my mom's house, like I said. 40-plus-year-old man recording in his mom's basement. But I like my mom. We have a good relationship. Not a relationship quite like Skinner and his mom.
I owe everything I have to my mother's watchful eye and swift hand. Oh, there's Mother now, watching me. What's that, Mother? Well, I have a right to be here. It's school business. Mother, that sailor suit doesn't fit anymore.
Oh, see, my sailor suit still does fit. Let's get into this time warp.
Have enough road to get up to 88.
Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads.
Here we are back in 1991. We're going to talk. This isn't even a 1991 time warp. We're just in a straight Simpsons time warp today. And our sponsor today is brought to you by the man himself.
Huh? What the? You're such a brat, Bart.
What?
Yeah, you won't share your Butterfinger BB.
So we're taking them.
Ooh, bite size.
Down the hatch, sir.
No, Maggie, no.
Groovy munchies, man.
Ah!
Bag a bunch of crispity, crunchity, peanut buttery Butterfinger BBs.
Nobody better lay a finger on my Butterfinger BBs.
Butterfinger BBs. Speaking of movies, I used to get those in like the movie theater. Throw them in your popcorn, make a little trail mix. But it's like, what happened to Butterfinger BBs? They ran from 92 to 2006. And again, they were great for movie theaters, great snacks, and then they were discontinued. And to this day, the internet cannot figure out why. I know it's one of those things where Butterfinger at some point changed their recipe, like a lot of things. I feel like that's why a lot of things, besides maybe you're an adult and you're like, why? Maybe it was better when I was a kid. And then the answer is probably yes. Like they make everything just different now, whatever they ended up doing. But Butterfinger BBs are gone. Nobody knows why. So I always thought that it was like maybe like a choking hazard, but I thought the same thing with Micro Machines. I don't know things. I don't do research. People thought maybe it was because they melted so fast because they didn't have like an M&M candy coated shell or whatever. But they're gone. You can buy some expired ones on eBay for not on the cheap if you really want to try them. I'd eat like a 10-year-old Butterfinger. I was at 20, however old they are. If someone gave me a 90s bag of Butterfinger BBs, I'd try it just for funsies. Moving on, let's talk movies, and I'm talking about one, and it's the Simpsons movie. And we got Simpsons 2 coming now as well. But I got some info, some little tidbits from the movie. It was not 1992, but again, we're just going to do some Simpsons stuff today. I have special memories of that movie too. I know I'm all over the place, but welcome to the podcast. That movie, the Simpsons movie, is the movie me and my wife watched on our first date ever. So I got love for the Simpsons movie. It wasn't in theaters. We just watched it at my house, but I'll always remember that. So it'll be kind of fun to go see the Simpsons movie too and kind of reflect on our marriage over the years. But some tidbits from the movie, the script for the voice work was to be kept so secret that the producers personally shredded the script after each voicing session. I like stuff like that. Just straight to the shredder. For the entire month of July 2007, when this movie came out, as part of a campaign to hype the July 27th opening of the movie, 12 7-Eleven stores all over North America changed their names to Quickie Marts and began selling products like Buzz Cola, Krusty-O cereal, Radioactive Man comments, and Squishies, including Woohoo Blue Vanilla flavor. One store in California reported selling over 57,000 sprinkled donuts, matching the one featured in the movie poster. So that's cool. I never got to check out one of those. I did make it to, Myrtle Beach. They had a Quickie Mart and like a Simpsons 4D theater, and it's been closed down for years, and so I didn't get... But you look in the windows, and there's all this merch everywhere. I don't know what's going on with that place, if it was COVID or what, but I was real sad I didn't get to go there. I've never done the Simpsons stuff at like Universal Studios because I've never been there, but that would be cool someday. Keep it going. At around 27 minutes, Moe's Tavern, as it is called in The Simpsons, is called Moe's Bar in the movie. This is the only time in the series it is referred to by that name. Just threw that in there because I never noticed that, and I didn't go back. Did they change the actual sign to say Moe's Bar instead of Moe's Tavern? And why would they do that? I sure hope somebody got fired for that blunder. It is the highest grossing PG-13 animated film of all time with a grand total of $710 million. In the deleted scenes, Russ Cargill appears as a totally different character design. And I like the Simpsons movie, but I always like they have so many characters and so much to do. Why did they bring in this new Russ Cargill guy? And I believe it's the same voice actor from like Hank Scorpio, so why not have Hank Scorpio be the bad guy? Or for that matter, Sideshow Bob, or whatever. Go with Mr. Burns. I know he's the classic villain, but give us another Mr. Burns story. I guess whatever. I'm splitting hairs. I don't really mind, but I love Sideshow Bob as a character, so I'm hoping he might have a big influence in the second movie. When asked in interviews how the movie would differ from the TV show, the producers would often respond with, quote, "It's twice as wide." So that's what you get. And last one here, an early plot idea would have had the Simpsons discover that they're in a TV show akin to The Truman Show, but Matt Groening rejected it, citing the Simpsons should not be aware of their own fame. I wonder when that trivia tidbit went out, because one of my favorite recent episodes is the Treehouse of Horror, where it's like Westworld, and like they realize they're like robots reliving all these Simpsons memes and stuff like that. Everyone, all the later seasons, every season, well, I guess everything gets flack on this show after like season 10. A lot of people have kind of a cutoff around 10, 11, 12 as far as when the Simpsons stopped being good. I've also heard, because I don't watch new Simpsons, I pretty much watch those seasons over and over. But I have heard that like beyond season 30, it's almost like a back to form with the Simpsons, and they've got a lot of good episodes now recently. But I know it's also sad because we're missing characters, from actors that have passed away or moved on. But anyway, we'll keep moving, keep talking Simpsons. We're in this time warp here. Let's talk TV shows. Okay, let's talk about The Simpsons. First aired in December 17th, 1989. So I was just a little 5-year-old. Not old enough to remember all the Tracy Ullman show bits they were doing. But like I said, I remember the commercials, watching upcoming episodes, watch Sunday at Fox, 8 o'clock, this week on The Simpsons. I remember all that stuff. It is the longest running primetime comedy series, as well as the longest running animated series in U.S. television history. I think it took down MASH. I think that that was live action. Maybe not straight comedy. Anyway, Danny Elfman composed the famous Simpsons theme tune in 1989, and it took him just 2 days to finalize. You heard the arcade version of the Simpsons theme song at the beginning. Danny Elfman, if you don't know, made tons of great music from movies, if I'm right, like the Batman theme, a lot of like the good animated themes, Nightmare Before Christmas. I hope I'm right on all those. Beetlejuice, I think. He's involved in all that stuff, so great composer. The main characters were given a yellow coloring to attract the attention of channel hoppers. If you don't know what that is, young children, channels, like... You would just scan channels, and it's not like streaming's lame because it's like loading, or you're just looking at, walking down, looking at box art, essentially, of all these movies, as opposed to channel surfing, where you would just hop into the middle of something and make a quick judgment in like 3 seconds. If whatever's on TV is something you're interested in, you're going to continue watching it. So they made it kind of, and it's all the other bright colors, just to attract attention, to make you stop changing channels, maybe check out The Simpsons. Nancy Cartwright, I love her. She does a lot of sweet TikToks and stuff nowadays. She's the voice of Bart. She first tried out for Lisa's voice with her Bart voice. So in some other alternate universe, she's voicing Lisa with the exact same voice as Bart. And maybe like Jennifer Tilly's doing Lisa. I don't know. Except when it's combed, Bart's hair always consists of 9 points. I put that in there. If you're listening to me, Kelly, check your tattoo. Is there 9 points? Make sure it's accurate. Me and my sister have Simpsons outline tattoos of Bart, and she has Bart, I have Lisa. The characters' full names: Homer J. Simpson, Marjorie Jacqueline Bouvier Simpson, Bartholomew Jojo Simpson, Lisa Marie Simpson, and Margaret Lenny Simpson. Some of those, you got to go through the whole series to figure out when we learned all those people's middle names and all those kind of things. But speaking of names, here's the real names of some unnamed characters. Comic book guy is named Jeff Albertson. These have all been established in the show, I guess. Crazy cat ladies, I'll just call her that anyway. Her name is Eleanor Abernathy. The sea captain's name is Captain McAllister, and the squeaky voice teen we all love is named Jeremy. Also, Barbara Bush, the previous First Lady, once remarked that it was the dumbest thing she had ever seen. So take that, Barbara Bush. The Simpsons later will put you and your husband in an episode. And then, here we go. In 2009, Marge Simpson was featured on the cover of Playboy magazine. Ooh la la. I didn't look into that. I remember that, and I believe she's not nude. It's just kind of erotic pictures of her. But good for Marge. Female empowerment. Get out there. Also, Marge, besides just being like the perfect figure, of like a wifely figure, she's also pretty hot when she's got her hair down. I got a thing for Marge and her hair down. So let's keep moving. Simpsons toys, of course. Like, if you weren't, you'd have to be in the 90s to see these toys. There were some really cool, like, fast food toys. Burger King even had, like, these cool dolls, because toys were cool back then. There was posters. They released musical CDs, and they released, everything. Back then it was like sleeping bags and still like lunch boxes, Trapper Keepers, all that kind of stuff. But a special shout out to a Simpsons item we had back in the day. It was a book called Bart Simpson's Guide to Life, and it was just a bunch of weird pages of fun, weird things and pictures and all this kind of stuff. But I remember a specific story. This book is how me and my sister, as young little kids, learned what the G-spot was. And hold on, listener. I told you this is a family-friendly podcast, and that's mainly for curse words. Anyway, there was like a picture of Marge's like brain diagram, and one of the little sections, little cube in her brain said the G-spot. Me and my sister were little kids, and that just stuck out. So our mom wouldn't tell us what it was. So we went to our dad, who would always tell us anything we asked him, and asked him what that was. And we found out. And if any of you young kids are wondering what it is, don't worry about it, because it's just a myth anyway. So moving on, let's talk Simpsons video games. We got, and I'm only talking the ones I care about, and that's weird PlayStation games and stuff, because it's weird that like the Simpsons Arcade is almost considered like the best Simpsons game, and it's from 1991. So can we get a good Simpsons game, or can you put Road Rage on something, or some of these other games, re-release them? I don't think we're ever going to get a Simpsons collection based on licensing. I'd love to have all these games, just like we do with like Mortal Kombat now, the Ninja Turtles collection. Like, please give us a Simpsons collection. But some of these games, the original, the OG, Bart versus the Space Mutants on the NES, it's pretty tough. It's One of those games you grab because it's something we liked, we watched, and we're familiar with, and then you might be a little disappointed because it was pretty NES tough, especially if you did not know what you were doing at all. But we've also got there were a lot of Game Boy ones. You got Bart Simpson's Escape from Camp Deadly on the Game Boy, Bart versus the World on the NES and the Game Gear, so the Game Gear is getting some Simpson love too. Krusty's Funhouse, Bart versus the Juggernaut, Bart's Nightmare, Bart meets Radioactive Man. A lot of Bart games. You think Bart's like a super popular name.
Look at all this great stuff, Lise. Cool. Personalized plates. Barclay, Barry, Bert, Bort. Oh, come on, Bort?
Mommy, buy me a license plate.
No, come along, Bort.
Are you talking to me?
No, my son is also named Bort.
Yeah, not a lot of Bort games. We got Bart and the Beanstalk, and then the Virtual Bart on Super Nintendo. Those two Super Nintendo games, Virtual Bart and Bart's Nightmare, looked good and just played pretty crappy. But I'll still review those games someday. We're going to talk a little bit about arcades, just to set the scene. I know I was talking arcades last week. Was that Mortal Kombat as well? But I love arcades. It's a time capsule of the 90s that's just never going to come back. The standing next to people. I mean, it's hard enough to get couch co-op where you're sitting next to people. You think you're going to get people to come stand up and play video games with you? The only time I see a lot of people's like home arcades. There's a lot of like the bar arcades. But we're just never going to get back to that point where those were the only places you could play those sweet video games. But move along, Pac-Man, Donkey Kong, Space Invaders, Galaga, all those older arcades. I mean, they made some money for real. But there was like a new wave of arcades coming in the 90s. Some of the top arcade games in the 90s and beyond, of course, Street Fighter II, highest grossing of the year, probably every year. It's a Capcom game. Right up there with, the other big one is like Marvel vs. Capcom 2. I think is like the other super popular fighting game. You had TMNT, Turtles in Time, and the OG. Turtles in Time was an upgrade to an already great arcade game. You had Knights of the Round, side-scrolling beat 'em up by Capcom. Should sound familiar to some of you Final Fantasy fans. Some other cool games I played: R-Type, Afterburner, Ghouls and Ghosts. Moving into games like Golden Axe, of course, Mortal Kombat, WrestleFest, Terminator 2. Now you've got like the guns on the machines. Dragon's Lair was a really cool one. Talk about playing a cartoon. That one still like blows my mind. That was a hard game to play too. That thing eat your quarters because it is like a cartoon. So you don't really know where to go and where to press. It's not like they're putting, yellow paint on things like they are nowadays. You didn't know where to go in Dragon's Lair. And of course the 6-player X-Men cabinet. That thing was a beast. But we're gonna move on. We're gonna talk some actual Simpsons Arcade. We're gonna hear from Bart first, and we're gonna look at the cabinet art.
Now, I know you love video games, and I asked the clerk which is the one every boy wants.
You got me. Oh, yeah.
Oh, thanks, Bart. Well, we're looking at, when you're talking arcades, when you're talking box art, you're strolling along Blockbuster, strolling through Toys R Us, checking out that box art. But when you're in an arcade, you're looking at the cabinet arts. What is grabbing your attention? And they just got the Simpsons plastered on the side of this, hand drawn, all from to match the show. Big old blue cabinet. If you haven't seen like the re-released arcade 1-ups, I got one of those in the basement. Real colorful. It's gonna catch your eye. And then whatever they call the arcade screens, like the screen savers. I think the attract screen, I think is what they call it. It's the way that the game would just kind of play on its own in demo mode or show you story and stuff. So as you're walking by, it gets your attention. And this cabinet was doing it for me back then. And the 4-player stuff, always pulling you in when there's a crowd around these things. So we'll talk straight Simpsons here. I don't know how long this episode will be, and I say that every time, and I still run over an hour no matter what. But let's get into it. The Simpsons, a 1991 beat-em-up video game developed and published by Konami. You should know that name. They are great developers. It was the first video game based on The Simpsons to be released in North America. The game allows up to 4 players to control members of the Simpsons family as they fight various enemies to rescue Maggie. The game features archival recordings from the show's first season, mixed in with brand new recordings by its voice actors, with Dan Castellaneta, Julie Kavner, Nancy Cartwright, and Yeardley Smith reprising their respective roles as the Simpsons family. So they used some old footage. Again, this game came out past like season 1 and 2 of The Simpsons. So they have a lot of characters and a lot of cameos still, but there's not a lot to like pull from as far as like referencing themselves and making fun of things like that. But they still packed a lot into this game. Hank Azaria and Harry Shearer do not reprise their characters for the game. So if you see anything, you either get nothing from them or either old recordings that they use for them. The game was a commercial success, of course, in the U.S., where it was one of the top 3 best-selling arcade games of 1991. Its only real ports at the time were the Commodore 64 and MS-DOS, and it was released as the Simpsons Arcade game on those platforms. And then eventually the Xbox Live Arcade and the PlayStation Network. But for unknown reasons, licensing and bull crap, it was removed from both services in 2013, and there's just no real, legal way to play it now. Thank God for MAME systems and people who emulate, and whether or not, it's that, you're emulating and ripping. If you're emulating like current gen stuff like Nintendo Switch games and PS5 games, then yeah, you can go to hell. Like, there are developers working hard on these games. But on the other end, if you're going to make a game and never give us access to it in a game like the Simpsons Arcade or a lot of the old arcade games, then yeah, emulate away. Go for it. These games should be they should be treated like history. They should be held on to. We should keep backups everywhere, send them into space, let the aliens play them too. I'll keep moving. So yeah, the Arcade 1-Up cabinet is pretty much the only real way you can play it now, and that's straight from the arcade as far as their emulation there. Like the MS-DOS ones are all kind of weird. They're kind of dumbed down. It also comes with the Simpsons Bowling, which was another arcade game. Never played that. So if you see the Arcade 1-Up cabinets, I got mine, I think, for like $150 or $200. Brand new with the stool and the sign and all that junk they'd sell with it. You used to be able to get some good sales on Arcade 1-Ups. So keep an eye out. They're still around, but not really much like they used to. The Japanese game developer had prior success, that's Konami, with the 4-player Nickelodeon. It's not Nickelodeon now. It was Konami back then. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade game, and they attempted to reproduce the same success with a game based on The Simpsons. So yes, the developers of TMNT made the Simpsons cabinet. It shows. They're both great beat-em-ups. Yeah, so from there, it all just comes down to licensing issues as far as, and that with other arcade games too, you just can't find this stuff unless it just gets unburied. I don't know where the license for this is now, and again, the same reason I think we'll never really get that Simpsons collection I really want. So moving on. Like I said, the main characters retained their voice actors for the show. The game features 2 mini-games in which players competed against each other to be the first to finish a task, in this case, inflating a balloon shaped like the character or waking up their character in the second mini-game. The mini-game was based on repeated button pushing, with the player who pushed the buttons fastest winning. During the game, if a player does not press any buttons, the selected character will break the 4th wall, except Homer, who only yawns. Marge swings her hair and says, "How's my hair?" Bart looks at the player with a confused look on his face, saying, "Who the hell are you?" And Lisa sticks her tongue out, making a face at the player, taunting, "Ha ha, made you look." So it was designed to look and play like the show. The sprites were hand-drawn from animators from the show, so that the Simpsons on screen, like Homer's run, all these moves, the way they stand, the way they walk was emulated from the TV show. So these characters look like they are in the cartoon. The way they're swinging their arms, just all those movements were taken directly from the show. The game features content, like I said, from Season 1 and Season 2, but it also anticipates some content that had not been released. For example, the game describes Marge as a Ringo Starr fan, even though it was released before Brush with Greatness aired, which is the episode where she is all about Ringo Starr. According to some teaser and media pictures, Bart is 10, Lisa is 7, Homer is 35, Marge is 34, and Maggie is 1. And the fact that Homer is 35 just makes me feel really old. The sprites for Homer, Marge, Lisa, and Bart were used on the disc art for the DVD release of the 13th season. So they're shouting out some love to the arcade and just putting those pixelated characters on their DVDs. Gameplay itself, like I said, The Simpsons is a side-scrolling beat-em-up. They released 2 different cabinets. So there's cabinets out there with like the 2-player, and then there's also the of course, the 4-player cabinet. That sucks to go to like a dumbed-down 2-player cabinet. But anyway, the controls themselves consist of an 8-way joystick and 2 buttons to jump and attack. So we're just keeping it simple still. The characters have distinctive attack styles as well as they like attack different. Another thing I didn't really know, Homer has, hits harder, moves the slowest, all the way down to Lisa moving the fastest and hitting the weakest. So all that comes into play as well. Homer punches and kicks, Marge swings a vacuum cleaner, Bart wields a skateboard, and Lisa attacks with a jump rope. I've seen some people complaining that Lisa doesn't use her more iconic saxophone maybe as a weapon, and kind of where the jump rope came from. Everything else kind of makes sense with the characters. And in defense of Lisa, she cares about her saxophone. She's not going to dent it up beating up bad guys with it, so let her whip her jump rope around. 2 characters standing close to each other can mount a combined attack. Homer and Marge holding each other's ankles to roll around the screen and mow down enemies. Homer placing either kid on his shoulders so they can strike at 2 different heights. Marge throwing either kid, and Bart and Lisa linking arms to execute a clothesline attack. I think me and my sister did that a lot. It's where you gotta stand next to each other and stand still, I think, or something, and you'll do your combo attack. Each player has a health meter, of course, which decreases upon being hit by enemies. Food items can be picked up to replenish it. Players can also pick up and throw items such as hammers, bowling balls, mailboxes. 2 players can team up to throw very heavy items such as police cars. And then, of course, you lose a life. If all the lives are lost, when you get beat up, you can continue to play the game by adding credits within a time limit. That was always the thing, too, especially during a boss fight. Boss is blinking red and you die and you're out of quarters. You're dropping quarters, trying to get them in the slot real quick to get in there before everyone game overs. I remember all that. There was something about that when you're at an arcade and playing with because you would just walk up, if 2 people are playing, you just walk up to the third person, put in your quarter, and you start going. You're beating people up, and then maybe with this stranger, you're doing combo moves, someone you never met, and suddenly you guys are making best friends. And then next thing you know, you're both, the Tyrannosaurus Rex is both your favorite dinosaurs, and the next thing you know, you're in the garage doing karate together. So you can make some new friends at these arcades too. The Japanese version of the game had a couple of differences. They had throwable small-scale nuclear bombs that would do a screen clear out all the enemies. They had a life bar that can accumulate up to 2 levels beyond full capacity when you were eating food and stuff. A scoring system that awards different point values for each enemy type defeated. There were end-to-level bonuses based on the amount of life remaining, and hidden items that are revealed when a player hits specific objects. So no real big differences there, besides I don't know why we didn't get the nuclear bomb attack. And they also released kind of mobile game, The Simpsons Arcade. It was released by EA. EA. Unlike the arcade game, the title is a single-player game where players control Homer, assisted by other family members via power-ups. The plot is also slightly altered as it revolves around a thumb drive containing plans for Burns' Project Operation Mission, hidden inside a donut that Homer attempted to eat after bumping into Smithers. With Burns' associates retrieving the donut and taking turns keeping it safe while Homer remains ignorant of the drive inside. His objective is simply to take back the donut, but first he must defeat Chief Wiggum before advancing to the next level, before taking on his final showdown with Burns in his mansion. So you got Homer taking on a lot of enemies, but I wonder if he fought the boogeyman in that game.
Mom!
Huh? What? Lisa! What's up?
I just had a bad dream.
Oh, sure. You just lie down and tell me all about it.
Well, I know it's absurd, but I dreamed the boogeyman was after me, and he's hiding...
Boogeyman! You nail the window shut! I'll get the gun! Ah! Art, I don't want to alarm you, but there may be a boogeyman or boogeymen in the house!
What happened here?
Oh, nothing, Marge. Just a little incident involving the boogeyman. Of course, none of this would have happened if you had been here to keep me from acting stupid.
He throws the gun. He just chucks it. You hear that gun go off. Anyway, so the levels, we got, what, 7 of them? So you got Downtown Springfield, Krusty Land, the Springfield Discount Cemetery, Moe's Tavern, the Springfield Butte, it's spelled butt, yeah. Channel 6 News Station, and the Springfield Nuclear Power Plant. Although the last level isn't really a level, it's just like a boss fight. The 2 bonus stages I mentioned, you blow up the balloon, or you wake up from dreamland, and that's like, like a Mario Party kind of mini game there. Lots of enemies to fight, real generic. Some of them aren't really based on anything. Some of them are. Mainly they're just like goons. You got kind of different styles of goons and fat goons, and you go to Krusty Land, and you've got the Krusty lookalikes. We got a lot of zombies in the cemetery. You got the Bigfoots in the Springfield Butte, like the Springfield National Forest type of level. Dreamland's real weird. You're fighting donuts and saxophones and little Bart devils. And then the Channel 6 news station just full of ninjas, which is like, hello, Ninja Turtles, like a news station level and you're fighting ninjas. Sounds familiar. The bosses, we've got Professor Werner von Braun. That's like the wrestler guy. You got the Krusty Balloon, and I'll kind of go over this in kind of our walkthrough will do, but mainly I'm just talking about the Simpsons. You got the 2 goons in like the Moe's Tavern elevator part, or like the entrance, I guess. You got the drunk guy in Moe's Tavern. That sprite kind of looks like that babysitter from like one of the very early episodes, I feel like. You got the bear in the forest level. You got the bowling ball in Dreamland. Big old robot in Channel 6, as well as a kabuki warrior with them ninjas at the end. And then you got Smithers and Burns themselves. Burns got like a big old 3-phase fight. One of the sweet things about arcades, if you remember, number 1, the blinking bosses. I just love it. It's like I see it and it's adding anxiety to me, kind of like out of nowhere. And they start to blink faster, and you know you're almost there. You're almost going to beat these guys. And the other thing is like enemies and characters. It's just kind of classic with arcades, flying like at the screen, smacking into the screen, looking like they're going to come through at you. Items, characters, all sorts of stuff. Just another arcade kind of classic there. Some of the food items you'll find: apples, burgers, soda, turkey. Again, nothing they can make super big references now. I bet if they remade this kind of game, you'd have tons of food items from the game. You'd have some steamed hams from Albuquerque you could pick up, some Krusty burgers, maybe some like tobacco. You'd have all sorts of stuff to get nowadays. And the weapons, of course, the classic slingshot. You can pick up your pets if you see them. You can just chuck Santa's little helper at someone if you want. There's brooms to pick up, and not even like Sideshow Bob's rakes or anything yet. There's hammers, there's bowling balls, street signs. Those are kind of your basic arcade type stuff. You're always picking up street signs, I feel like, or road cones and throwing those at people. Well, let's get into exactly what this game is. It's got a little bit of a plot, but first, because it's been in my head all week, living rent-free, here's a little something for you.
Because nothing means more than for a man to... How did the pig tracks get on the ceiling?
Spider Pig, does whatever a Spider Pig does. Can he swing from a web? No, he can't. He's a pig. Look out, he is a Spider Pig.
So just let that rattle around your brain. I could just pull clips and clips and clips and clips. There are episodes of The Simpsons where their jokes per minute are like one after another. You can't get them all, but I do like those old seasons. I've got some favorite episodes for sure. So the plot, you got your classic Simpsons intro on the arcade. They digitized it. They're throwing up little facts about the characters on the screen. That same tune you heard at the beginning. You got the classic Simpsons intro, even though it looks like it was made in MS Paint. It was like mind-blowing back then. So the Simpsons are walking in the street when Smithers, who stole a diamond. Why is Smithers stealing a diamond? I don't know. It was also like the kind of the old design for Smithers. He was drawn kind of different. I know at one point in an episode or two, Smithers was black. And I think that was an accident on their part, and then they changed it back. And that's not the first time. I think old episodes, there's like White Carl. So it's just animators missing things. But to the point where just now, when all the Fortnite Simpsons stuff going on, the B Sharps photo apparently in Moe's Tavern has Apu as white. So again, just people clicking the wrong paint button when they're doing their animation stuff, which I don't play Fortnite. I wish I could just go explore all that Springfield Fortnite stuff without people attacking me, because it scares me. Throughout the game, there's kind of mini cutscenes to kind of tell the story. No real like dialogue or anything big. But he stole a diamond for Mr. Burns, Mr. C.M. Burns. What does the C stand for? What's your name, Mr. Burns? I don't know. I'm sorry, I'm bad at voices. So again, there's like cutscenes to tell the story. Smithers bumps into Simpson. The diamond goes flying in the air, and then Maggie, as Maggie is wont to do, gets the diamond instead of her pacifier, and she's sucking on that. So it sends the diamond flying into her mouth. Smithers kidnaps Maggie, runs off with the diamond, prompting the Simpsons to pursue him and attempt to rescue Maggie. On the way, they encounter goons hired by Mr. Burns to stop the family from getting Maggie back and are forced to fight them. So, I mean, you're talking season 1 and 2. Burns has to be the villain, right? Because he was still pretty much like the only villain of the show back when he was like evil Burns, before he's kind of like just kind of dumb old Burns now. Bring back evil Burns. Yeah, Sideshow Bob wasn't a nemesis yet, or he'd be in this game. I mean, he's in the game giving food to people, so he's not like a nemesis yet. So after defeating several goons, including a wrestler in your first level there, and that wrestler is from the episode Bart the Daredevil, they chase Smithers into Krusty Land, which is real cool to have early too, a Krusty Land episode, or a Krusty Land just theme anyway. Even though like Itchy and Scratchy weren't really huge, so it's not like Itchy. I think I like Itchy and Scratchy Land better than Krusty Land. Anyway, they're attacked by clowns and rabbits from Matt Groening's original cartoon Life in Hell. If you don't know about Matt Groening's original pre-Simpsons stuff, he was drawing a lot of bunny rabbits. At one point, the rabbits the Simpsons were going to be rabbits. It was going to be a rabbit family. One of the visual gags in the game includes Marge showing rabbit ears, similar to the Life in Hell rabbits. It happens when her skeletal silhouette, when it gets electrocuted, so you can see like ears in her hat and her hair. And this is actually a reference to Matt Groening's initial design of the character. He was originally wanted Marge's hair to conceal rabbit ears and have them finally exposed in the last episode of the show. But that was soon scrapped. So just like scrapping the last episode of this show, because it's just going to keep going on. But I'll say it here, whatever year this is, 2025, that they still do that. That whenever The Simpsons ends, that you're going to see some Marge rabbit ears. I wonder if like Matt Groening even remembers doing that. That's Krusty Land. The big balloon guy at the end. It's got Smithers in the balloon. You pop that, sends the family and Smithers falling down to the Discount Springfield Cemetery. And you know I love a Halloween horror theme level. Zombies, skeletons. Not really. None of these levels are really big, as far as an arcade game. They just make it tough. These weren't made to sit in a couch and play at home. But that level's cool. Zombies rising from their graves, attacking the Simpsons family. There's even little sayings on the gravestones like they do classically. But the family fights them off. The Simpsons family then follows Burns' goons into Moe's Tavern. In Moe's, copies of the Simpsons arcade cabinets are seen in the background. The cabinets are depicted differently than the final version. Next to it is a copy of the game Aliens, which is another arcade game produced by Konami at the time. That game's attract screen features Marge as a xenomorph who scares off a creature from Space Mutants, which are those kind of, just like Bart versus the Space Mutants, those kind of reoccurring aliens in his show. Also, Princess Cashmere, the lead dancer from the episode Homer's Night Out, appears on stage at Moe's Dancing to music performed by Bleeding Gums Murphy. If any Simpsons stands next to the stage, they'll just start to do a little victory dance. A little Easter egg for you there. So you're in Moe's, where they encounter several mobsters and a drunk, which they are forced to fight. Moe's Tavern.
Flaming Moe's.
Yes, I'm looking for a friend of mine. Last name Jazz, first name Hugh.
Hold on, I'll check. Hugh Jazz! No, somebody check the men's room for a Hugh Jazz.
I'm Hugh Jazz.
Telephone.
Hello, this is Hugh Jazz.
Hi.
Who's this?
Bart Simpson?
What can I do for you, Bart?
Look, I'll level with you, mister. This is a crank call that sort of backfired, and I'd like to bail out right now.
All right. Better luck next time. What a nice young man.
So the Simpsons later follow Smithers to the Springfield Butte, and there's just lots of cameos and background stuff going on, just like we like in our arcade games. Tons of cameos. I'll list some off later. So Smithers is fleeing from a bear, which the bear in that episode is the bear that escapes from Krusty Land. At one point you open a cage and a bear runs off, and now the bear is back in the game. So he's fleeing from a bear, carries Maggie towards a river, and the Simpsons follow his trail, battling woodsmen and Bigfoots are along the way, with those Bigfoot enemies being based on Homer when he was mistaken for Bigfoot in the episode The Call of the Simpsons. So still making them callbacks. The bear that was chasing Smithers, like I said, tries to kill the Simpsons, but the family defeats the bear, who was revealed to be a goon in disguise. So was it a goon at Krusty Land in a bear suit? I know in China they be painting dogs to make them look like pandas, so I don't know. So after that, which that level is just kind of like the woods, kind of a forest. But Smithers escapes by helicopter, and the Simpson family are sent down a large waterfall and knocked out. While unconscious, the Simpsons envision themselves in the clouds and in their minds. And this is where they weird dream level. They battle nightmare donuts and saxophones and power plant workers and a gigantic bowling ball at the end, which I guess there's some cool stuff going on in the background of that level too. But again, we're just kind of breezing through here. We'll get into the last two levels. Let's play a little more of that arcade music for you. And the cool thing is too, is just like all arcades, when they do have the cutscenes, it only shows the current players. So it's you'd see the spaces and gaps where the other players would be if you had 4 people playing, but it would just show you. And so every time it would do that, on this game, I'm I can't wait, because there's something about when you are playing this with 4 players. It just feels like this is how this game is supposed to be played. So after waking up, they see the helicopter landing on top of the Channel 6 studio, which is weird that there's no Kent Brockman at all in that level. They get in the studio and see a news reporter doing a news report on Maggie's kidnapping. They have a brief battle with a Japanese kabuki warrior before hopping on a helicopter to the Springfield nuclear power plant, where Smithers has taken Maggie. And again, of all levels, they pick the Channel 6 news station. It's you could have did you could have had a power plant level. You could have had Springfield Elementary, but I'm they're familiar with the news studio from Ninja Turtles, so just roll with it. At the power plant, the Simpsons family confronts Smithers, who battles them with bombs. That's a crazy fight. He's just chucking bombs. This whole end boss fight thing is quarters. So when Smithers is defeated, Mr. Burns breaks through the wall inside a large machine, which attacks with bombs, lasers, missiles, and pinchers, and starts a climactic battle against the Simpsons. After a long fight, Burns is defeated, and the Simpsons rescue Maggie, who places her pacifier into Mr. Burns' mouth. And then Mr. Burns' eyes go like X's. They were open, and now they're X's, so I straight up think Burns is dead. They celebrate along with many other characters, and in the end, Homer throws the diamond away, just like Rose's dumbass from the Titanic. And that's it. If you've ever beaten this game in the arcades, maybe you're high-fiving people, but that's the end of the game. Move out of the way, let some other people get in there and get in on that action. See, this is what I mean. It's I thought this episode was going to be a half hour, and I'm creeping up to an hour already. But that's the end of the game. We're going to keep talking Simpsons. I got some comments and reviews to go over. So let's get into it in the awards section.
Aren't you a little old for video games?
That man is playing Galaga. Thought we wouldn't notice, but we did.
Let's do all the things that you want to do.
Throw me a frickin' bone here. I'm the boss. Need the info.
I've lived in mortal terror that this would happen.
Get on with the ceremony.
All right, let's see what some other people are thinking about the Simpsons arcade game. We got Quiztol Labs. He says, this machine was in my local video store when I was growing up, and I must have put hundreds of dollars into it playing with my cousin over the years. I loved it. I'm 32 now and have played a few times since adulthood, most recently being at an arcade bar last year. It doesn't hold up, and it's not as good as you remember. It's extremely repetitive and very unfair, the worst kind of arcade token taker you can imagine. The visual design, animation, and overall style is beautiful for sure. The pixel art is on point, the music is whimsical, and it has sort of timeless quality to it. The game itself is fine for a drunken bash with a couple of friends for 15 minutes, but that's where the praise ends. It's relentlessly boring, that gets tedious very fast. And I say this as a loser who can recite Simpsons episodes word for the first 10 seasons. I love this freaking show. I love old side-scrolling beat-em-ups, but I can't stand playing this game. So maybe some things should be left in the past when it comes to some of these games. I know it's hard to talk about an arcade game because there's no way to go back to being a kid. There's no way to go back to arcades. So it's like, you're either playing this, with some friends a little bit at an arcade, at a bar as an adult, or I guess you can emulate it, play it by yourself. I've done that once or twice on your arcade one up, with the no quarters thing. You'll make it through. But it does get, kind of tedious with the fights. And there's not, it's still early and side-scrolling, so they're not throwing a lot at you. It's got some of your basic side-scrolling elements, like things coming out of the background at you. It's got an elevator fight, so now you're fighting up and down as opposed to left and right. But it doesn't really throw any kind of surprises at you. It just kind of plays like a beat-em-up. So we got IC Ban here says, in the top 10 arcade games from my childhood, for adulthood, any arcade game that's over 15 minutes, the gameplay loop just gets tedious. This game is more tedious because you're just hitting things. The novelty wears off so quick, and then it just keeps going for quarters. So how am I judging this game? Like based now where we're not playing quarters? Or it's like if I had to do this episode and beat this game with money and quarters to do the episode, I'd probably be mad too because I would be broke. So it's like I find, you keep things in your childhood, you keep things nostalgic, and maybe you'll just always have a good memory of it. Sometimes you go back to things and it can be a little different than when you were a kid. We got Give the Kitty Kisses. He says, true childhood nostalgia playing this at Pizza Hut. I love that. In which Sandwich 48 replies to him, this, TMNT and Metal Slug, and a red refillable Pizza Hut soda cup. So he's just bringing all the nostalgia with the Pizza Hut and their cool red cups. And they used to have freaking like an all-you-can-eat pizza bar. Pizza Hut was pretty jamming back in the day. They had arcades and a bunch of cool stuff. Death by Media Man says, one of the best of all time. Played in the back of the comic shop. One of the top 3 cabinets I'd love to have in my home. In which Nacho Dan replied, this, TMNT, and NBA Jam. See, I love NBA Jam. I don't even like sports. And then Spiritual Regular replied to him, and X-Men. So yeah, the Trinity gets mentioned a lot. Simpsons, X-Men, TMNT. We can add things. I do like NBA Jam. I like NFL Blitz. I like sports arcade games because they're fun. They're not like your realistic nowadays playing seasons of sport games. Stats for days on all those new games. Perpetual Motion says, I prefer the pinball machine that came out in 1990. I'd love to play that too. Maybe we'll talk pinball machines one day. Super Nintendo Chalmers says, my dad and, he said, we got a celebrity here. My dad and I beat this once with a ton of quarters back in the 90s. I played it recently at an all-you-can-play arcade. It was interesting to experience again, but it lost its edge when you don't have to use quarters. So in his case, it's like you lose some of the game when you get to play it for free. The stakes are lower. You're not playing that one life you get, for that quarter. When you're paying for stuff, you might be working a little harder to make sure you're not dying and stuff. Additional Mess says, they had one at the Nickel Arcade where I grew up, beat it more than a few times. It also had an Area 51 machine that I'd play guns at Kimbo. And I like that comment. That's like Yeah, grab both those guns on Area 51 or House of the Dead or some of those arcade games. You're just dual wielding those plastic pistols. That sounds like a good time. Cameron here says, in a way, it changed my life because it made me buy a skateboard, and I've met pretty much everybody I know through skateboarding, directly or indirectly. So that's a cool comment. You played The Simpsons, it got you into skateboarding. Now you skateboard, everything and it all just kind of came from that show. And Bart was making skateboarding look cool. I tried it once probably, and never do it again. I tried it recently, fell, and I hurt myself pretty hard on my daughter's skateboard. So I won't be doing that anytime soon. Couldn't even jump rope either. Not good at that. We got Unwise Defenses. He says, as a child, I was not allowed to watch The Simpsons without permission. Playing the arcade game gave me a fun little feeling like I was getting away with something. I didn't feed it many quarters, though. Didn't pick it up when it finally got ported either. So you missed out there, but like there was The Simpsons. Kids were not allowed to watch The Simpsons back in the day. Our mom didn't care. We were watching whatever we wanted. She was watching it with us too some nights. But yeah, I know of people that is like Bart cusses a little bit, and God forbid your kid can hear the word hell or damn in a cartoon. So they were catching a lot of flack in their early show because even like Married with Children, they were showing kind of what American families were really like. It was not Leave It to Beaver and all these other old black and white shows that we were still coming out of in the 90s there. They were showing Roseanne, those kind of shows. They were showing real life, real families, real fights, real drama, just in cartoon form. So Apprehensive Ask, he says, classic, maybe not the first of its genre, but definitely great for keeping the feel of Springfield throughout the game. You can tell the love for the show was shared by the developers. I remember this being right next to Michael Jackson's Moonwalker at my local arcade. So thank you guys for all these comments you're making on the internet talking about arcades. If you don't know about Michael Jackson's Moonwalker, that was a game. It was an arcade, and you're playing as Michael Jackson in space and beating up guys like a karate game. Kitty Swipe First says, picture this, local roller rink, 1991. A large crowd of kids surround the active four playing. Quarters piled high to the bottom left as everybody waits their turn. Who will we play? Will we slap bad guys with our jump rope as Lisa? Whack them with our skateboard as Bart? Pound them with our vacuum cleaner as Marge? What? I gotta play as Homer? Good times. That's a good comment. I like you set the scene for me there. A roller rink in the 90s, kids piled around arcades. Yes, please. The Chris Phoenix says, I remember playing the hell out of this as a kid at my local Chuck E. Cheese. So another shout out there to those old places. Chuck E. Cheese still around, but bring back the animatronics. Then maybe I'll go have some of your gross Chuck E. Cheese pizza, which my wife loves for some reason. And some of our last comments here. The Red Menace says, not as good as Bone Storm, in which case Tower 40 replies, buy me Bone Storm or go to hell. So I appreciate that comment as well. We'll talk about some awards here. I've got award number 1. It's the Geno Should Be in Smash Brothers award. That's going to go to my favorite character to play. We got 4 of them, Homer, Marge, Bart, and Lisa. Let's see, Homer. See, the thing is, you go to these cabinets, and it was usually always Bart. Someone's playing Bart, and then maybe someone was playing Homer, because boys, God forbid, you played as a girl and someone made fun of you. But that's not how I roll. I mean, I was playing Lisa. I was playing Marge. Pretty much anyone. If anything, I didn't like playing Homer the most because he didn't have a weapon, so I thought it was kind of boring, I guess. It's all real close contact with him too, whereas everyone else has kind of a reach. So yeah, Bart was always taken. Lisa was always available. Marge had the distance, but in this case, I'm giving it to my girl Lisa. I'll still play her. You can whack around that jump rope, team up with Bart, clotheslining people. It's a good time. Award number 2, it's going to be the Rainbow Road Award, and that's going to go to Best Level Design. There's 7 levels to choose from. There's lots of highlights in each level. We got Downtown Springfield. That's your classic beat-em-up level, through a town, in the sidewalk, stuff coming out at you, cars, fire trucks pulling out of stations, running into you, old ladies knocking open doors and throwing stuff at you. Krusty Land, a lot going on there, and just kind of a cool aesthetic to the level. Moe's Tavern is a lot bigger in the video game than I thought it was in like real life. But a lot of cool stuff in the background of Moe's Tavern, like I mentioned. And I'm going to throw Channel 6 news station in the mix because that was where you're like fighting through movie sets kind of. So you're in like an alien set, and then of course like the ninja set there fighting the ninjas. There's a couple of, the forest level's kind of boring. The cemetery level, although it looks cool, is still boring. Dreamland's kind of boring. It's all black and white and stuff. So between those four, I'm going to give it to Downtown Springfield. First level of the game, again, tons of cameos, tons of stuff going on. Still fairly easy. So you're getting the award there. And award number 3 is the I Get That Reference Award, and that's going to the best background detail. There was a lot going on. There was a lot going on at Moe's. There was tons of cameos. Just as I was doing my recent playthrough, I was trying to jot down just cameos I saw, and a few of them were Patty and Selma, Skinner, Martin, Sherry and Terry, Krusty, Otto, Dr. Monroe, Milhouse, Moe, Bleeding Gums Murphy, Nelson, and Blinky, the little three-eyed fish. He's even in this game. So you've got, I like how the bear enemy breaks out, and then he becomes a boss later. There's all in Krusty Land when you're fighting these Krusties and stuff, they fall down, but their outfit comes off, so it shows that they're just actual goons. Which, another weird kind of side note, originally, Matt Groening. Krusty looks like Homer because at one point it was going to be Homer in disguise. So that was going to be some plot point that never went where they wanted it to, or at least whatever Matt Groening's idea was there, which is good because I love Krusty as a character. Again, cameos all over, but I'm going to give my award to the one little thing I love the most, and that was the arcade games at Moe's Tavern. So it was real cool as you're playing the Simpsons Arcade game to see the Simpsons Arcade game in the background running like the same attract screen that it runs on the regular. It was like a different cabinet color. And then, yeah, again, like the aliens playing next to it. I just like the little arcade graphics they had. I just thought it was neat. So let's get into ratings here. Gameplay, visuals, music, sound, awesomeness. Gameplay, I'm giving you a 6 out of 10. Look, it's fun. But like most beat 'em ups, you want multiplayer. So it's like I have to judge this kind of how you can play it now, which isn't through an arcade. It is very repetitive. The replayability is low. But I'll still come to it once a year or so and come play this game. I'd recommend, if you're a Simpsons fan and you haven't played this game, I don't blame you because you can't find it, but hunt it down, give it a go. You're going to get a 6 there. Visuals, an 8 out of 10. It looks like a cartoon. It's exactly what we wanted. Looks good. I don't have any real complaints there. It's still just, an older arcade as far as those go. It's still kind of pixelated, but I love me some pixels. Music and sound, 8 out of 10. The voice actors came back. The sound effects are there. They're great. You got your classic Simpsons movie. Hasn't changed over 30 years, that theme song. So 8 out of 10 there. Everything was great. Awesomeness, I'll give you a 7 out of 10. It's like, how do I rate some of these old games? It's easier on some of the retro games people are still playing, but it's like, who's online talking about their speed runs on the Simpsons Arcade? Not many people. There's just no going back. So it's like, I'm sad we can't game like that anymore. Just meeting random people, joining up to take down bad guys. I guess you can kind of do that stuff online, but if you know anything about online like I do, people will say things online that they probably wouldn't say to your face if you were standing next to them playing in an arcade. So I do wish we could go back when it was just game and love. There weren't trolls back then. There weren't freaking some of these people you come across online that are just like, are you even human? You're so gross. Like some of these gamers out there. So let's just go back to a time where we can all just love games and talk about games and play games together. Add all those up, and what are we talking with this game rules? We'll just go with my new drum roll. She is a rental, which you can't really do. The game, it's got its issues as far as you can't rent it, but if you come across it in an arcade bar, go play it. Go play it with your friends and just try to remember when life was simpler, and 25 cents could buy you a few minutes of entertainment, and maybe make some friends along the way. So maybe that's what I miss about arcades. Make some new friends out there. But it's just, we can't go back unless we get that DeLorean. Oh, but anyway, let's wrap this baby up in a neat little package. Thanks again for listening to this week's show. I appreciate the support. Again, just email me. Say hi. Let me know if I'm doing terrible. Let me know if you want me to stop doing stuff or do some more of some other stuff. Hit me up at thatgamerules@gmail.com. I am out of here. I hope everyone has a great week. Go enjoy. Go eat some steamed hams. Watch out for any random rakes lying on the ground. And remember, when I say hello, Mr. Thompson, and stomp on your foot, you say hello. And thanks, everyone. I'll see you on the next one.
Shh.